More tough stuff for Apple. We've covered this Epic, Facebook. People are upset. Developers are upset with Apple. I mean that seems fairly evident at this point. Some big developers, some small developers. I've noticed something. The really big developers are mostly focused on the cut. They're mostly focused on the 30% piece. They don't like it, whatever they want to talk about it. Governments seem interested in that as well. We did the story about how Russia may want to put in some kind of legislation to stop that. Small-time developers seem far more interested or bothered by the reviews process and the approval process, which I didn't know this. I kind of had heard the rumblings on Twitter from people saying, man, it's a nightmare trying to get an app into the App Store, or I don't even know why my app was denied. And just like you hear this conversation taking place, and this can be a real problem for a small-time developer who has put, say, a tremendous amount of work into something and is really depending on accessing customers. And then they're sitting there waiting, seemingly not knowing exactly what's wrong with their app. And in some cases being denied and not really having a ton of clarity if the changes they're going to make are then going to get them approved and when. And so we now have this story about Japanese developers who are collectively complaining about the App Store business model and some of its processes and how it treats apps coming from developers. Japanese developers have now expressed concerns about the App Store's business model regarding Apple's 30% commission and also how the company treats third-party apps. As the gaming market in Japan is extremely strong, the local government may soon take action. So there's a thinking here that if you have enough Japanese developers that are not super happy about these policies and how things are taking place, then they could petition or lobby their local officials to actually do something about it, to enforce a different rule set if Apple wants to continue to do business there. I guess that's what a local government is supposed to do. I don't know, maybe listen to the locals. Capture a few votes or something like that. Now, the thinking here is that many have been motivated and inspired by the Epic conversation, which is kind of what Sweeney was saying in the beginning. It's not about us. Some people think it is about, well, it definitely is about them, right? There's money on the line. Let's not forget. But it certainly has spurred on all this other. I mean, Facebook has gotten a lot more vocal about the App Store policies afterwards. I'm sure there's others. I'm forgetting.
Yeah, everyone's coming out of the woodwork.
And
Epic seems to be just like under the radar now. There's not much news about them.
No, well, I mean, they officially got kicked off. It kind of seems like it's a wrap until, you know how it is in court. The stuff takes time. There's actually a company called Prime Theory in Japan, and they kind of take on these cases where people are having difficulty getting their apps into the App Store. Here's a quote from Prime Theory. Apple's app review is often ambiguous, subjective, and irrational. He complains that the app review process sometimes can take weeks, but it's difficult to get support from Apple on these occasions. While Apple will never admit it, I think there are times when they simply forget an item's in the review queue. So there's a couple of, they think that it's not the most efficient process to get an app in there. They feel like it's ambiguous why an app is denied. And they also think that Apple is too restrictive on the type of content that they can put in there as well. So Apple, I mean, look, it's that's their garden, right? They prune and clip their garden, and they get to call a lot of the shots. And it's not that these cases don't have legs, because they're obviously getting the attention of the local governments in a variety of places. It's not exclusive to the U.S. And so the question will be in the future, will Apple be able to maintain the amount of control that it has in the past, or are they getting way too much attention right now from governments? Where it's going to be hard to hang on to it.
They are the regulators of developers.
They are the
regulators.
regulators.
Who's gonna regulate them?
Who regulates the regulators? Who watches the Watchmen?
Yeah, Watchmen reference.
Is that what you were going for?
Yeah.
Did you read the graphic novel or just watch the movie?
I did, yeah, long time ago.
What the graphic novel? Yeah, so did I. That's odd, but I guess it's like a classic, right?
It is, yeah.
But I just didn't read many graphic novels.
That was the one.
That might be the only graphic novel I ever read, but I enjoyed it thoroughly. And I did watch the movie, and I'm going to do the cliche thing that everybody does and say the novel was way better than the movie. But everybody says that.
Yeah.
I don't know why is that. It's just a lot more
Maybe,
detail. It was more of an experience for me, a time in my life. I don't know. I had time to read a graphic novel.
And maybe you can imagine the world better.
I guess that's what it was.
Better
I mean, it seems like a
experience.
really timely thing right now that people could read this right now. It's amazing how it remains relevant. I mean, that thing came out a long time ago, but it was about the necessary. Well, I don't want to spoil anything, but I just like the world the way it is right now. This feels like you could read that right now.
Yeah. Too bad we don't have a Dr. Manhattan,
Well, there you go.
you know?
You're spoiling. I'm not spoiling. You're spoiling.
Sorry.